Manchester United have beaten Sunderland 2-0 at Old Trafford with goals from Mason Mount and Benjamin Sesko in what was, in the end, a very comfortable win. This win was a very, very needed win, with the pressure mounting on the manager and questions continue to be asked about his system, about his formation, and about the way that he approaches games. While I do think it is reasonable for Manchester United fans to be happy with the win against a relegation side, I think we must put things into context and also be quite objective if we can. The manager, most of his wins have come against relegation battling teams, and I believe Sunderland are a relegation battling team. So while yes, we must be happy as Man United fans with the win, we must also understand where we are, where we're going, and the fact that we have to realistically beat these teams if we want to get back to the promised land. However, this doesn't take away from the performance. I think there were some very good performances in today's game, and in today's tactical analysis, we will focus on one thing that nobody else is focusing on. We're going to analyze the relationship between Amad Diallo and Bryan Mbeumo. We're going to analyze how I believe their relationship is growing, the cohesion is getting better, and those two on the right-hand side, for me, they were the catalyst for today's Manchester United win. Essentially, how do you get two players who want to occupy the same position, who play a similar way? They want to hold the touchline, the right touchline, and drift in. Both Mbeumo and Amad want to do the same thing. So how do you get them to do two different things? How do you get them to form a relationship where, for instance, one goes and one stays? One goes out wide, one comes infield. How do you develop that cohesion? So today we will look at that. We will look at the performance of Amad, the performance of Mbeumo. We will look at what the right wing back needs to do, what the inside 10 needs to do, and what Bryan Mbeumo and Amad did today, which I said, and I continue to say, was the catalyst for today's win. Both of our goals today came from the right hand side. So without further ado, let's break it down. As you can see, this is Manchester United's typical formation. Today we started with Amad at right wing back and Bryan Mbeumo in the left 10. In my opinion, Bryan Mbeumo is a right forward. He's more in a mode of a Salah. Wants to drift infield, deliver crosses with his left foot, shoot with his left foot, and so on. And Amad plays the same way. So how do we incorporate both of those players in the system? As we know, Amad is the right wing back. His role is to keep the touchline, keep the width, stay out wide, bomb forward and bomb backwards, as you can see from your screen. The yellow box highlights Amad Diallo's vertical pathways. This is the area of the field that he operates in, ideally. The reason why I say ideally is because football is a fluid game. You can't stay in one position. You can't occupy just one position. You're supposed to move into spaces and be fluid. So I'm going to use the term ideally. Ideally, Amad wants to occupy out wide, hold the width. The yellow box, the yellow rectangle is Amad's vertical pathways, the area in the field where we want him to operate in as a right wing back. And as you can see, Bryan Mbeumo's job is to drop deep, link up with the midfield. As a 10, he's supposed to drop deep and shore up the midfield, be an extra man in the midfield so we are harder to break down and also connect with the midfield. The blue box shows Bryan Mbeumo's vertical pathways as a right-sided 10, and the yellow box, the yellow rectangle, shows Amad's vertical pathways as a right wing back. As you can see, they should be, and the word is ideally, occupying different spaces. The key word here is should. However, in reality, they often occupy the same space. And as you can see, this is the area of the field that they both want to be in. This is the problem, guys. This is the issue. The question then becomes, how do we get these two players to understand their roles better and to not do what is natural to them, to do something that is unnatural? Bryan Mbeumo, as I said before, is not an inside 10. He doesn't naturally want to occupy that position. In fact, I believe Amad is probably more naturally inclined to occupy the inside right 10 position than Bryan Mbeumo does. And I would like to see Bryan Mbeumo play right wing back and Amad play the 10 position. I would like to see the manager experiment with that formation. But with regards to this game, the question then is, how did we do it differently? What did Bryan Mbeumo and Amad do in today's game that we haven't really seen in previous games as much? However, what we saw often in today's game was Bryan Mbeumo actually occupying his inside 10 position and allowing Amad to hold the width on his own. We saw that many times today. Mbeumo occupying his inside 10 position, Amad occupying the right wing back position, not getting in each other's way. Beautiful. And that's what we want. We want the players to understand the spaces. Yes, I know your natural game is to be out wide, but you have to be able to see space and occupy the space. And I think Bryan Mbeumo today, more than he usually does, occupied the inside 10 position, leaving more space for Amad Diallo out wide. And as we know, and as we saw today, Amad Diallo, when he's on form, can be absolutely devastating in 1v1 situations outside the box in this position. This is where you want to see Amad all the time. You want to see Amad face his man up on the edge of the box. If he does that, he is absolutely terrifying to play against. And I think Bryan Mbeumo and Amad, they're finding the cohesion, they're finding the chemistry, they're finding their relationship. Essentially today, they didn't get in each other's way. And not only did they not get in each other's way, they actually swapped positions. Sometimes Amad will find himself in the left 10. Sometimes Mbeumo would go out wide and vice versa. Sometimes they will change positions within the same fluid move. As you can see on the tactical analysis board, when they change positions, when Amad Diallo and Bryan Mbeumo routinely switch, it is very difficult for the defenders to mark them. Very difficult. And what that also shows me is that they're beginning to understand each other. There were times where Bryan Mbeumo, as I've said before, would hold the width and Amad would be inside. And there were times where Amad was holding the width and Bryan Mbeumo was inside. And there were times they will cross over and keep interchanging during the same move. This is what I mean by forming a relationship, forming an understanding with each other. So today, in my opinion, we saw better cohesion. We saw maybe the beginning of a relationship on the right-hand side where it doesn't matter who the right wing back is or the 10 is. Both Amad and Bryan Mbeumo are both equally comfortable being a right wing back and equally comfortable being an inside 10 to the point where they can interchange seamlessly and flawlessly. That is what I want to see, and that is where I think we can end up. Now, interestingly enough, the first goal actually illustrates my point perfectly. Both goals came from the right-hand side, Bryan Mbeumo and Amad's side, and I think that was our most important side. That was the side of the field where we had the most luck, had the most energy, created the more opportunities. And what we saw in the build-up of the first goal was Amad holding the width but interchanging with Bryan Mbeumo to the point where they were very difficult to pick up. As you can see from the screenshot, Amad is holding the width and Bryan Mbeumo is in the right 10 position. Amad is about to receive the ball from Casemiro. Now watch Bryan Mbeumo here. As Amad is holding the width, Bryan Mbeumo is doing what he feels comfortable doing. Bryan Mbeumo is about to make a run wide. Usually this will be an issue. I would say, please guys, do not occupy the same space. But look what happens when Bryan Mbeumo makes that run wide. Amad drops in almost in a 10 position and feeds the ball to Mbeumo. They've switched now. Bryan Mbeumo is now holding the width. Amad Diallo is more in the inside 10 position. And as the move continues to unfold, what we're now about to see is Amad do the exact same thing Bryan Mbeumo just did. Amad is now going to do the outside run. He's going to run to the wide position while Bryan Mbeumo is going to run inside. Do you understand what's happened here, guys? They've changed position 2 or 3 times already, and they're both doing the same thing, but it's working. So Amad runs outside, Bryan Mbeumo comes inside. This is difficult to mark, people. This is difficult to mark, and this is where our first goal comes from. I really want us to understand what we are seeing here tactically, and how if they get this right, continue to develop their relationship, their cohesion, they could be unstoppable on the right-hand side. We just need to find a similar relationship on the left-hand side of the pitch. Beautiful cross from Bryan Mbeumo, by the way, and a really good finish from Mason Mount to score. This is what we need Bryan Mbeumo and Amad to keep doing. And if they do this well, they will be an absolute menace down the right-hand side. So, as I said before, I believe their performance today was the catalyst for Manchester United's win. Bryan Mbeumo today wasn't at his best, and against Brentford, you could argue he wasn't at his best either. I'm not saying he played amazingly well today, and I think Amad had a great game. What I'm saying is their relationship, the cohesion is improving. I also want to take time to mention Sesko's performance today. There are many other things, many other players' performances I could talk about, I could analyze, I could break down. But Šeško today was really, really good. What impressed me today about Šeško was his ability to drop deep and link the play. That is something we really didn't see with Højlund. I believe Šeško's footballing fundamentals, his floor, his technical floor is higher than Rasmus Højlund's. What I mean by that is his ability to do the basics, the foundations, to hold the ball up, his first touch. He has a picture of the game. You can tell he has an image of the game, a macro image of the game, and he's able to see things and do things that I believe a lot of strikers simply don't do. I believe his hold-up play today, when he dropped deep, was really, really good. And that is something that we know Joshua Zirkzee to be good at. So if Šeško can build up, get better at dropping deep, linking with players, then he will become a complete striker. As you can see from the tactical board, Šeško routinely found himself in this position here. He routinely tried to drop deep, tried to link with the 10s, with the midfielders, and I think he did that successfully. He's a strong, tall footballer. He's able to shrug off the defenders. He's able to do things that Højlund simply couldn't do in the Premier League. Often we would see Højlund on the floor being ragdolled by the defenders. Šeško, not so much. Not so much. And his ability to not only link the play, but to spray the ball out wide when he drops deep is very, very important. Pivotal, almost. His height and his stature is a problem for defenders. And the scary thing about Šeško, he's only just getting started. He's going to get better. Now, in terms of in-game evidence, I think this passage of play demonstrates, highlights what I'm talking about with regards to Benjamin Šeško dropping deep and linking the play. First and foremost, we see Benjamin Šeško in the centre circle. He is dropping deep. He's trying to connect with his fellow footballers. He has managed to get himself at least 1 or 2 meters away from his defender. That's very intelligent, very, very intelligent. So not only is he, or has he received the ball in the centre circle, he's now about to spray a pass out to Amad. This also illustrates the relationship between Amad and Bryan Mbeumo. Bryan Mbeumo is in his right 10 position, which he should be, leaving Amad out wide in the right wing back position. As the move unfolds, we see Sesko here with the ball. Beautiful switch pass to Amad Diallo. We saw this from Sesko dropping deep, linking the play throughout the whole match, and I think he's only going to get better at doing this. I really believe one of the reasons why Amad had a good game today is because he was holding the width and Bryan Mbeumo was holding the right 10 position, which means he had more space out wide. Bryan Mbeumo was actually playing like a right 10 rather than a right winger. We saw that last season with the likes of Garnacho and Diallo on the left. Garnacho would hold the width rather than playing like an inside 10, meaning that the left wing back had nowhere to run. And once again, this is evidence of exactly that. Bryan Mbeumo in the right 10 position is about to feed Amad Diallo, who is holding the width as the right wing back. And this time, rather than Bryan Mbeumo making that overlapping run wide, Bryan Mbeumo decided to hold the position, leaving all the space for Amad to operate in. Amad then feeds Bryan Mbeumo, looking for a give and go, but Bryan Mbeumo then takes the shot on. I've just decided to focus on Amad Diallo and Bryan Mbeumo, their performance and their relationship, because I felt like it was a catalyst today. But there were many other players who performed valiantly against Sunderland. Casemiro's know-how, intelligence and calmness on the ball was missed in the last game, and I believe personally he should start most games for us due to his experience and his general calmness on the ball. I think he was missed, and having him back was an added benefit today. I thought Mason Mount also had a decent game today. He scored a very good goal, a very well taken goal. Mason Mount is the type of player that I understand some fans either really appreciate or others not so much. He sometimes can be a bit like Marmite, but Mason Mount will do his job. He will carry out instructions and he will do as he is told. There's a reason why a lot of managers like Mason Mount. He might not get you off your seat. He's not that kind of player. He has a technical flaw that is very sound. Mason Mount can do most things at a decent level. He just might not get you off your seat, but he had a good game today. I am also happy that the defense had a clean sheet today and that Leny Yoro is back in the team. And I also want to mention, of course, the goalkeeper. The new goalkeeper, Lemmens. I think his composure was needed. It was necessary. I believe, and this could be me projecting here, but I believe the defenders and the defense in general looked and felt calmer. Lemmens was vocal. I saw him many times shouting, communicating with his defenders. When he came for the ball, he usually caught it. When he dived for the ball, he looked competent. His distribution was half decent as well, whether it was short or whether it was long. While it's important for us not to get excited with Lemmens, this is just one game and he will make mistakes. Make no doubt about it. Every goalkeeper make mistakes, and I understand the fans are somewhat, let's say, traumatized potentially by previous goalkeepers. I want the fans to manage their expectations and understand that this goalkeeper has had one game. It is against a relegation team, Sunderland, and there will be tougher and harder tests going forward. The fan base can be very toxic at times. I understand that fans can either be up here at 1 minute, everything's the best, or down here the next minute, everything is the worst. Usually things are in between. Usually things are grey. And on this channel, we like to be as objective as possible, tactically break down things, analyze things objectively. So Lemmens had a good game, but I want to manage the fans' expectations. So to conclude, I've just focused on Amad Diallo and Bryan Mbeumo for the reasons I've already given. I've also mentioned Benjamin Sesko and what I believe his role in today's victory was. Apart from that, there were honorary mentions as well for other players. My question to you is, what does this all mean in relation to the season, in relation to the manager? Are you sure that the manager can turn this around? Has he got what it takes? Do you believe that it's a system, or do you believe it's more the players? And what percentage are you giving? What weighting are you giving to your reasons? Can you see Bryan Mbeumo and Amad Diallo's relationship getting better, their cohesion forming? Can we somehow replicate that on the left-hand side? How optimistic are you with the new goalkeeper? Are we being level-headed with our response? Or are we being too dramatic as a fan base, maybe? What do you think is the main difference between Mason Mount playing the inside 10 role and Matheus Cunha playing the left-sided 10 role? Why do you think Mason Mount was chosen today over Cunha? Let me know your thoughts, people. Please start the conversation. Please try to be intelligent. Try to be tactical if you can. Try to be objective with your assessment if you can. Remember to leave your comments below, like, share, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you next time for another tactical breakdown.